Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. Okay, so we have a brand new edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. This is the first round draw for the 31st edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. Last time, the Foghorn Sam won the 30th edition. So that longest game ever that lasted for about 2 months or thereabouts, finally came to an end after 8 rounds. So we've got a brand new game, and just going to run through the list of participants. We've got 36 in total, I believe. Um, we've got here we are. Got A, laugh my ass off, and AZ, or A as I was just calling him in these things. Baron von Rattus, Bellatrix, Boom Shakalaka, Calfoth, Canhago Ruiz, C. Collins 44, Cheeseball, Chimp Smack, who's making his debut in this game. So best of luck to you and welcome to the carnage. Cool Hand Puke, D1, D4, K10, Damien Handel 420, Dr. Maxis 2, El Guapo, our reigning defending Tapology Lucky Bastard game champion, Foghorn Sam, Geneva 65, returning to the game. Great to have you back and good luck. It's your boy SB, Jack Soto. The first of three alliances and the first brand new alliance. Me and KK Kombu have formed an alliance. At the moment, we're going by KK Terry, although we've flipped about a few different names. But no, that's how we're going to start off anyways. We still need to get through the first round in any case, don't we, before it even matters. But me and KK Kombu are competing as KK Terry. Uh, Next up is Knife Rusty, then Cushy Cake, Mule Floyd, Piggy Bank, Problem, making his debut in the game. So best of luck to you. Hopefully cause the wheel a few problems. Rigno, Shat, Cian6, the Dirty UFC Man, the Matchmaker, the MMA Historian, Tosh, who's I believe is making his debut in this game. I can't remember if he's competed before, and I feel like he has, but I'm not sure. But in any case, best of luck to you anyway. Trail Allman, Trig, the second of our three alliances, Trostradamus, Costradamus, and Tros, competing again as Trostradamus. Uber Industry, our German alliance. That's obviously Ubermatch and Schwer Industry competing again together. They made it all the way to the eighth round last time. The last one standing alongside Foghorn Sam, but couldn't quite get that extra win needed. But who knows? Maybe they can uh, go the distance. In any case, this time, in any case, they're certainly the most successful alliance we've ever had in this game. And finally, ex-con Chris. So that's our yeah. So we've got 36 different people compete, 36 different teams and individuals competing. Anyway, uh, so 36 people, one wheel, and it all starts here. UFC Fight Night Shanghai or UFC Fight Night Johnny Walker versus Mingyang Zhang. And obviously, it's Johnny Walker's a UFC veteran, very probably one of the most memed fighters in the UFC. But he's to be fair to him, he's hung about at light heavyweight, right at the top of the end of the division for ages now. He's had his ups, he's had his downs, but um, at the moment, unfortunately, he is on a little bit of a down because he's on a two-fight loss knockout streak. He got knocked out by Ogun Ozdemir and Ankalaev anyway. Um, so it's not coming into this with the best of form, which isn't exactly what you want against Ming Yang Zhang, who by comparison is very new to the UFC with only three UFC fights, but all three of those fights so far have been first round knockouts. A knockout wins, that is, of course. Um, he's knocked out Anthony Smith last time with the ground and pounds. And so on top of that, combined with his regional records, he's also coming in with 12 fight win streak. Hasn't lost since 2019. So he's looking like a very serious prospect. And of course, they've got him headlining in Shanghai. So he's got the home advantage as well. Against a fighter in Johnny Walker who has been knocked out several times in his career. Um, yeah, this looks like it's been kind of almost a setup, if you like, to for Johnny Walker to get knocked out. I've got Ming Yang Zhang to win in the first round. That's my first round knockout. But of course, you're not here to listen to me ramble about my predictions, even though that is going to be, let's be real, that's going to be the majority of the videos. I actually forgot to share the screen there. Um, I didn't realize I was still on my Excel sheet there. But yeah, so that's the poster for it. Anyway, to be fair, one of their better efforts. I was fairly critical of some of their posters last time. Uh, anyway, make sure we're all facing the wheel so you can actually see who you're being drawn with. Otherwise, the whole thing gets made redundant, really, let's be honest. So the whole point of these videos is just to show that I'm not pulling the names out of my arses and choosing who gets which fighter, and it is completely random. So anyway, let's get this started. Now that we're on the right page. We start with A, or A, laugh my arse off an AZ. So let's see who's going to be the first fighter out in this new game. And he gets Gage Young. Gage Young there for A, or A, laugh my arse off an AZ. Um, okay, so I've picked his opponent, Mahashati. I will also apologise in advance because I am terrible with pronouncing names, but especially Chinese names. And with this being held in Shanghai, it's going to there's a lot of Chinese fighters on here, and I'm going to butcher a lot of the names on this card. So I apologise in advance to anyone that I butchered the name of, including Mahashati, who's I've probably just butchered twice now in two different ways. But I do have him to win anyway. I've got him by second round knockout against Gage Young, who Gage Young s- uh, lost his UFC debut against Even Elder in last time out. It's but he's got a good regional record. There's knockout artist on there mostly. But he's never been KO'd by anyone. That's also a good sign as well. Which against Mahasheti is also mostly knockout wins, but he's he also goes the distance as well on a few occasions as well. So he's got the stamina there. Both fairly similar in terms of their experience, with Mahasheti 10-4 and Gage Young 9-3. So it's not an awful lot to split in terms of experience between them. Um, but yeah, the main thing that swung it for me though was with Mahasheti is he had that a couple of years back. He had that very memorable knockout win against Steve Garcia. And given what Steve Garcia's gone on to do in the last few years, that's aged very nicely. So it's I can't see why you can't potentially repeat that against someone like Gage Young. So first one up, and I think that it's going to need he's going to need a little bit of luck to get through in this round. After waiting so long to get back in the game, it has to be frustrating for all the ones that have been out in the cold for all this time if they get a unlucky fight or a worse fighter in the first round. But it's not impossible for him to get through, but definitely needs a bit of luck. Okay, we've got Baron von Rattus up next to face the wheel. Let's see who the King of the Rats faces, or the Baron of the Rats faces anyway. and he gets Kyle Dorcas, Kyle Dorcas there for Baron von Rattus. And again, another one I've picked the opponent of. I've picked his opponent, Mikel Pereira. Uh, simply and simply because this is a big step up in terms of the some of the competition that Kyle Dawkins has been facing recently. Because he's obviously was formerly in the UFC, then spent a spell fighting for CFFC, one of the larger regional promotions in America, to be fair, but still not quite the UFC. And obviously making his return to the UFC, and he's kind of been thrown in the deep end against Perrier, who's got some very good wins at middleweight, and he's always a very spectacular fighter as well, and not just in the fact that he can he jumps around and does all that. I don't know what you call it really, to be honest. It's a very unique style, those flips and all that that he does. It's like Tony Ferguson on cocaine, isn't it? It's quite something to behold, and a lot of the time it works as well. Because he can win by sub, he can win by knockout. He's a very complete fighter as well. Once you look past all of that stuff, the only downside is he does sometimes lose on. I say sometimes. That's how most of his losses come by decision. Actually, um, sometimes I reckon it's just from him completely gassing himself out doing all those flips and whatnot. So maybe if he doesn't take Kyle Dawkins too seriously and gasses himself out, maybe then might lose that way. But like, it really comes down to the quality of their opponents, and Pereira has been fighting better opponents than Kyle Dawkins has, and more recently. Uh, so I'm going to be going with Pereira for a second round knockout in this one. So again, I think Baron Morata's going to need a little bit of luck to get through this one. Okay, we have Bellatrix next to learn their fate at the wheel. Let's see who Bellatrix is going to be drawn with. Okay, I'm about to absolutely butcher this one, but it's Tai Lake Nuraji uh, for Bellatrix. T-I, how are we even spelling that? T-A-Y, I Lake, uh, Nuerejai. Yeah, so Ty, I'm just going to call him Ty for short. So Ty for Bellatrix, and yeah, that's where are we? It's excuse me. There we go. So it's a fairly heavy favourite. Um, excuse me, fuck me. Yeah, sorry about that. I just got a throat for the phlegm or something there. I don't know, a little coughing fit. All right, so Ty, as I'm going to refer to him from here on in, is a fairly heavy favourite. Making his UFC debut, and he's just really a first round knockout artist. That's seems to be the main thing about him. Um, Comes into this with 10 knockout wins. Nine out of those 10 knockout wins have been in the first round. So yeah, it's and he's facing Kiefer Crosby. He's 10-5 by comparison, 0-2 in the UFC. Um, Both of those, interestingly, have been submission losses rather than knockout losses. So I suppose it's different. So it's not exactly a setting them up for it, but no, it's not like ones where you get a knockout artist and they're matched up with someone who's going to get he's notorious for getting KO'd, similar to what we got in the main event I mentioned in the intro earlier. But still, it's not quite the level of competition that I think Ty could face. So yeah, it's his debut, and they want to get him off to a good start in his home country as well. This is basically all set up for him to make a very good impression here in the UFC. And Kiefer Crosby himself prefers to keep fights standing. That's not going to end well because most of his have also been first round knockout wins as well. But again, slightly more rounded on paper, but it still looks like a bit of a mismatch, if I'm being completely honest. But luckily for Bellatrix, that is a mismatch that she's on the right side of. So I think Bellatrix's first one I can say is I'm confident in going through. Okay, Boom Shakalaka next to learn his fate. Let's see who the Will's got in store for him. And he gets Yizha. Yizha for Boom Shakalaka. Uh, Not the best start to his UFC career. It's 0-2 over two stints with his last fight, obviously being in the UFC, lost to Gabriel Santos by unanimous decision. Uh, he's mostly a submission threat, and I'm assuming in the UFC with this one, they're trying to make him. I guess they want to try and get this stint off to a better start than his previous one, and try and rebound from that loss because they put him in as against Weston Wilson, who's he's yeah basically not quite again. I always struggle to think of ways to try and describe it when there's what I'd consider to be a complete mismatch, but I try and put the fighter on the losing end or the wrong end of the mismatch down lightly, but I can't really do that. It's because, to put it frankly, in terms of the betting odds, yes, there is a 1,200 favourite, minus 1,200 favourite compared to a plus 700 for Weston Wilson. Um, and again, it's in Wilson's defence, his last he did have some wins by armbar against Jekka Sharagid last time out, but had two losses before that, uh, and that's pretty much the entirety of his UFC stint. Admittedly, those losses were Gene Silver and Joanderson Brito, both knockout losses. Um, so they've aged quite well, actually. Um, but overall, if you look into his regional record, he's got four submission losses in his career overall, which against Yizha, who is a submission artist, it's a case of you do get the sense the UFC are like, well, we want Izza to be a star, but so far he's kind of fucked up the fights we've been giving him. But we're going to give him a real feeder one that he absolutely cannot fuck up. But and he shouldn't. Let's be honest. This is anything other than a first round submission for him would be a surprise. And that's what I've gone for my prediction. First round submission for Yizha. So again, I'd say that Boom Shakalaka is almost certainly through in this one. Okay, Calfoth is next to find out what awaits him. But, Calfoth gets Long Xiao. Long Xiao for Calfoth. Excite. Is that AO? Yep. And Calfoth's is up against Su Yong Yu. It's a quite a close fight, this one. Fairly evenly matched. Personally, I'm siding with Su Yong Yu. Um, Slightly better start to his UFC tenure. Uh, 2-0 in the UFC compared to Long Zhao's 1-1 in the UFC. Um, so it's Song Yong Yu again. I'd say is fairly more well-rounded as well from what I've seen of him. As he prefers to go the distance most of the time, but if the opportunity for a finish is there, he does take it as well. It's just his So he's happy to play. He doesn't really rush into things, or he's certainly not an impatient fighter, and that's the way you need to be. Don't take any unnecessary risks. If the finish presents itself, of course, take it, but don't take any unnecessary risks. Um, and of course, he won the road to his weight division in bantamweight. He won the bantamweight road to UFC tournament as well. So he's been on the UFC's radar for little while now, and obviously some of the more hardcore UFC fans have already got to know him fairly well. Um, I'd be lying if I said I'm an expert on him, but from what I've seen of him, from the little bit I've seen of Long Zhao as well, it's I'd expect him to come away with a win here and a decision win at that. Um, if Long Zhao is going to win, I suppose his best route for victory is probably by sub, really. Um, that would be my guess because I can't see him winning on the scorecards against Su Young Yu. But it is a close fight though, so it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world to see him get a submission win. As in any case, that's what Calforth's certainly going to be hoping for anyway. It's Canhego Ruiz is next to face the wheel. See what the wheel's got in store for Canhego Ruiz. And he gets Kiefer Crosby. Kiefer Crosby there for Canhego Ruiz, which of course that puts him up against Ty and Bellatrix. So Ty Late Niraji, yeah, that's why I just call him Ty. So it's our first head-to-head there, Canhego Ruiz versus Bellatrix, and Ty versus Kiefer Crosby. And as I said earlier, it does look like they're kind of setting Ty up to make a good impression in his UFC debut. He's coming in as a knockout artist, just blasting everyone away in the first round. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him do the same to Kiefer Crosby as well, which obviously is in this little head-to-head. Canhego Reese definitely got the short end of the stick in that one. Um, so yeah, it's not really much more I can add to that. I'm not expecting Ty to do anything else um than to come in and try and blast him out in the first round. And if he does go past the first round, it'd be interesting to see how he handles that. See if from Kiefer's point of view, I suppose he only really needs to survive the first round, and maybe Ty will start to gas out a bit and drag out for a longer fight, win on the scorecards maybe. But that's a big if he survives the first round. And to be honest, I'm not expecting him to, and I don't think many others are either. So yeah, I think Canhego Rees might be heading for an early exit. Okay, so it's C. Collins 44 next to discover what awaits him in the UFC, which only starts in about 6, 7 hours time. And he gets Sergey Pavlovich. Sergey Pavlovich there for C. Collins 44. And obviously in a very interesting fight against Waldo Cortez Acosta. Um, Now, Pavlovich is coming off a win against Jairzinho Rosenstrike last time out. That was a unanimous decision, which very contrary to his usual style, because again, another fighter that usually blasts people away in the first rounds. Um, and recently, though, has shown a slightly different side to him. He shows he can go the difference against Rosenstrike. And I think his losses against Alexander Volkov and Tom Aspinall, well, obviously given Aspinall's the champion, has been for the last few years, really. Um, so blast away everyone. He can't really hold that one against him, but it does give us a better idea as to what his level was at, and he's definitely one of the higher ranking ones at heavyweight. Although given how shallow heavyweight is, that's not really saying much. Waldo Cortez Acosta, on the other hand, he's sort of in slowly creeping up the rankings, and from someone that was always a sort of a staple of the prelims, he's starting to get the respect he deserves a bit higher up on the cards, and he's put together some good wins. So as well, he's had Romulus Despain, that kickboxer that was hyped for a little while in the UFC, and won Sergey Spivak last time out. No, there's well Sergey Pavlovich there, but no, he didn't beat Pavlovich, or not yet anyway. But he beat Sergey Spivak last time. And again, that showed he can go the distance as well. Another unanimous decision win there, and a lot of his they do tend to go the distance, so he's quite comfortable doing that. Um, I've gone with him to win by a decision. He's not the favourite, not the bookie's favourite anyway. But I can see a scenario where again Pavlovich comes in trying to knock his head off in the first round, and Cortez Acosta sort of weathers that early storm, and then takes it to the scorecast and wins rounds two and three, and yeah, wins that way. I just can't see any reason that doesn't really happen here. As long as he doesn't get caught early, that's pretty much the main thing. Because I'm thinking if it does go the distance, even though Pavlovich beat Rosenstrike over the distance, does he beat Waldo Cortez Acosta over the distance? I'm not sure. Don't think he does most times. So yeah, it's I'm picking the slight underdog there, Waldo Cortez Acosta, but what C Collins 44 will be glad to hear is that he gets the bookie's favourite anyway in Pavlovich. So we'll see how that one plays out. But very interesting clash at heavyweight. Okay, so Cheeseball next to learn his fate. See what the wheels got in store for Cheeseball. Oh, there we go. Also gets Sergey Pavlovich. So that's C Collins 44 and Cheeseball in the same boat, both riding with Sergey Pavlovich. And yeah, I say as I just said, his best route to victory would be a first round knockout because it was only a couple of years ago he was looking like the next big thing at heavyweight. Until obviously that very decisive fight between him and Aspinall. But and to be fair, he's still got time to develop. He's still fairly early on in his career. 19 and 3, but heavyweights do tend to last a little bit longer than most other kind of fighters in other weight classes. So no reason why he couldn't potentially make another crack and potentially uh find himself in another title shot in the I suppose slightly distant future, but he'd need to make quick work of a few opponents for that to happen. But with heavyweight is quite shallow, so it's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility. But again, as I mentioned, I think Cortez Acosta is going to win this one. So yeah, it's we'll see how that one goes. But either way, see Collins 44 and Cheeseball for this first round anyway. So going to ride or die together, I suppose, whether they like it or not. Okay, so we've got one of our debutants up next, Chimp Smack. Hope I'm pronouncing that one right. Whether it's Chimps Mac or Chimps Smack, but anyway, uh, welcome to the game, and let's see, let's see who your first ever fighter is. So best of luck with this one. Let's see, your first ever fighter in the Tapology Lucky Bastard game is Long Zhao. So Long Zhao there, and same as Calfoth earlier in the game. And as I mentioned earlier in the game, he's in a very competitive fight with Su Young Yu, who I've just been slightly more impressed by. Quite simply, from what I saw of him in that Road to UFC tournament they won, and he just looks slightly better equipped. But the good thing that Long Zhao does have over him, though, is experience, simply because he's Got 27 wins, 9 losses compared to 15 and 3 of Su Young Yu. So he's got more fighting experience, and that's probably the main thing that evens out the playing field. If it wasn't for that, I would probably put Su Young Yu as the a much more moderate favourite. But you do have to factor that in. But in any case, though, I'm still expecting Su Young Yu to get the win here over the course of 3 rounds. Um, I'm trying to think anything else I can play out devil's advocate with Long Zhao. Um, as I say, mostly I think if he is going to win, maybe I'd say slightly more of a threat on the ground, perhaps. But I'm still expecting a Su Yu victory there. So, but anyway, best of luck is for your first ever one. It definitely could have been worse as well. Because it's as I say, it's a very close fight. So I can't imagine the betting odds between the two fighters got much to split them. So, all things considered, it definitely could have been worse. Could have been better, true, but hmm, could have been a lot worse as well. Okay, Cool Hand Puke is next to see next to face the wheel. Step up, see who's the wheel's going to pick out for you. Well, there's an interesting one. Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega for Cool Hand Buke. I don't know how he's still on this card. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Because it is had an absolutely horrible weight miss, or not weight, but it had weight issues anyways. Really bad weight cut. And in the videos of him sort of in the weigh-ins, he looked like he was about to collapse at any moment. The way he was walking. Uh, it's like yeah, it didn't look good, and he shouldn't be fighting. He should just take the weekend off, recover really. Um, but no, instead the fight has been moved to a 153 pound catch weight. Uh, so still on the card, still up against the former bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling. Uh, he's gone 1-1 since his move up to featherweight. Before, to be honest, I'd have had this as a really close fight. I couldn't split them at all personally until then. Uh, then after seeing that weight miss, I'm fully on board with Aljamain Sterling. I can't see any way Ortega wins this. Um, because Ortega's much more the natural featherweight normally. There was talks of him going up to lightweight, so he's a bigger fighter not naturally, whereas Aljamain Sterling's coming up to featherweight. Um, very good on the ground, Ortega. Sterling is as well, though. That's the trouble. If he was coming into this one fully fit, I would say it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility for Ortega to potentially get a submission win, but there's no way he's coming in fully fit for this after that. So yeah, I'm actually gone the other way. If anything, I've gone with a Sterling submission win because that's Sterling's most likely path to victory over because it's a 5 round fight as well. That's the other thing to consider, and so I don't think Ortega has the stamina now after that to last 5 rounds. Um, it's normally if I were to pick, if he was coming in fully fit and I were to side with Sterling, it'd be by decision because a lot of his fights does win a lot of them by decision. But the ones he finishes, he prefers to go for submissions, and I just can't see Ortega lasting 5 rounds. Uh, so I've gone with a fourth round submission for Aljamain Sterling on the theory that Ortega's going to make a good fight of it all the best he can. He's got the dog in him, of course, but as they say, but sooner or later his body's just going to give up on him. He's going to gas out after that, and the fight will be there for the taking for Sterling. So I am not confident in Cool Hand Puke's chances at all, if I'm being completely honest. Right. Okay. So moving on to D1, D4, K10. Let's see what surprise the wheel's got in store for him. The wheel loves doing that, so like giving it two fighters in a row. But no, that's just mean. That's just no. You can't do that, Will. But he has. It's happened anyway. And D1, D4, K10 has also got Brian Ortega, who yeah, not to beat a dead horse too much, but it's that really was a bad weight cut. You don't want to see that. And to be honest, if I've got a feeling if this was in America, I don't think the commissions would have sanctioned it, not even at a catch weight. Maybe Texas, but or Alabama, but or maybe Nevada actually as well. But I mean, but besides some states anyway, they're probably maybe Florida. No, but I mean, besides some exceptions, I just don't think that fight was going to happen at all, and I'm surprised it is. And now that it is, I can't see any way that Ortega does win, not unless he's has some miracle recovery and been able to rehydrate. I hope he has. Win or loss regardless. I just hope he's healthy. Isn't gonna hopefully doesn't take too much damage in this one. But I suppose it's one of those things really. So yeah, I hate to see fighters pulling out of fights last minute. But when they look as bad as Ortega does, I think it's no, I wouldn't have blamed it if he just said, "Look, I fucked up the weight cut this time. I'm not gonna risk my health for this in a fight that when I'm not feeling 100% or far from 100% anyway." Uh, so yeah, I wouldn't have blamed him for sitting this one out. But anyway, it's happening, and Aljamain Sterling is going to be the winner in this one, in my opinion. So yeah, D1, D4, K10, and Cool Hand Puke. I think they're going to be on the early train out of it, if I'm being honest. Okay, so we have Damien Handel for 20. Let's see who he's going to be rooting for in only a few hours' time. And he also gets Gage Young. So just like A at the start of the game, Damien Handel for 20 also gets Gage Young. Um, Up against Machete, as I've mentioned before. I've gone with Machete again, second round knockout, as mentioned earlier. Um, Mostly wins by knockout. It's gone distance quite a few times. It's got a few uh, wins on the judges' scorecards, but he's also had his fair share of decision losses as well. So it's not exactly a reliable method of victory for him. Um, Gage Young, though, to be honest, I don't think it's going to be something that's I have to worry about too much. He might do, given that he's not been knocked out before, but I think Mahasheti's going to be the kind of fighter that could end that stat. Um, or in any case, it doesn't for the sake of this game, it doesn't matter how they win. Even if Gage Young does survive against Machete, it's I can see him winning on the points just from where he's been doing more work to try and get the knockout. Um, so yeah, so I feel like the wheel's actually throwing up a lot of underdogs here. Um, Seems to have mostly underdogs so far. And Damien Handel, obviously paired up with A Laugh My Ass Off and AZ for this round anyway, whether they like it or not, with Gage Young. Right, okay, so see if Dr. Maxis two's in for any better luck. Let's see what he's going to be drawn with. Oh, yeah, slightly better. Su Young Yu there for Dr. Maxis 2. And obviously that puts him, it makes it a 2v1. Calfoth and Chip Smack up against Damien Handel. Uh, not Damien Handel, Dr. Maxis 2, sorry. Um, but he's got Su Young Yu, and as I've mentioned a couple of times when talking about Long Zhao, it's a close fight, but it's one that I favour Su Young Yu to win. So Dr. Max's two's got the better side of that draw, in my opinion. Um, just with a slightly more rounded fighter. Um, will that be enough to make up for the experience gap? I think so. I think it will be, to be honest. Um, yeah, not really much more I can add on to that, having mentioned it like about three times already. But in that fight, anyway, I think we're going to be seeing a winner in Dr. Max's two, and then saying goodbye to Chip Smack and Calfoth. And next to learn his fate is El Guapo. Let's see what Will's going to hand out to El Guapo, trick or treat. And we get Waldo Cortez Acosta. Waldo Cortez Acosta there for El Guapo. So obviously that's another head-to-head. We've obviously given the sheer number of people in the game and the fact there's only 24, there's 36 of you. In terms of individuals and teams. And obviously only 24 fighters, so obviously it's going to be quite a lot of double ups and head to heads. I'll try and mention them when I can, but obviously at some point we're going to start to lose track of all of it. But in this case, I can confirm that's El Guapo with Waldo Cortez Acosta. That puts him up against C. Collins, 44, and Cheeseball, who both have Sergey Pavlovich. And I've mentioned I've gone with Waldo Cortez Acosta to win by decision. The bookies have Sergey Pavlovich as the betting favourite for it. Pavlovich, slightly more experienced, definitely the more dangerous. Um, Acosta, though, I can just see him surviving that early storm and uh, just controlling the last two rounds. It's not going to be easy, but that is his best path to victory if he's going to get a win. And if he does get this win, he's got the motivation to, because if he does, then they'll start to announce himself as a real problem at heavyweight. Um, so the motivation's there. In my opinion, a reasonable path to victory is there too. Um, so I can't really see too many ways it doesn't happen. Okay, so we'll move on now to our reigning, defending Tapology Lucky Bastard Game champion, Foghorn Sam. Let's see. Who he's going to be drawn with to start his first defense of the title winners. Uh, of course, congratulations on being the champion. I'll say that now before I spin the wheel, um, because the sentiment could change in approximately 5 seconds. Oh, no, not necessarily. I think you're going to be making it through into the second round at least, because you got Aljamain Sterling uh, for for this one, and so obviously you're going to be hoping that when Brian Ortega hasn't quite fully recovered from that weight cut. Again, this another 2v1 here, Foghorn Sam, the defending champion, up against it's Cool Hands Puke and D1 D4 K10, who both got Ortega. And yeah, as I say, if it's I'm struggling to split them when the fight first got announced, but I probably maybe even sided with Brian Ortega originally, simply from being the natural featherweight in the situation. But not after that weight cut. I didn't like seeing that video at all. That was very, it's nice, it's very scary. It's one of those, it does kind of remind you like how stupid the weight cutting is, how ridiculously dangerous it is. But maybe one of these days I'll just go on a long ramble about how about weight cutting in MMA, go on a long To be fair, the MMA on Point guys did a brilliant video on it a while back. Um, Definitely worth checking out if you follow their YouTube channel. But anyway, back to this game. Anyway, it's Sterling have got him to win by fourth round sub on the basis that, as I say, I'm expecting Ortega's gas tank to be completely shot after that weight cut. And giving it a 5 round fight as well. Yeah, that does him no favors whatsoever. So yeah, Foghorn Sam anyway. I think he's making it through to the second round. Maybe start another legendary 8 fight, 8 round game, 8 round. It's ridiculous. You get 8 fighters in a row right, or winning fighters in a row randomly selected to be right. That's the odds of that are pretty slim, aren't they? But anyway, next to face the wheel is Geneva 65, making a return to the game. So welcome back, and hopefully we don't just kick you out in the first round again straight away. Let's see. That is of course up to the wheel though. And he gets Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson for and he's one of these fighters. I feel like I associate him with the Lucky Bastard game because it seems like every time he's on the card, multiple people get lumped onto him for some reason. And it helps he's a fairly active fighter as well, so that he comes up fairly often too. But yeah, it's he's up against Leona Kavanagh, who's I suppose the newcomer to the well, I suppose definitely to the UFC, but to MMA as well. I was surprised when I chased the record; it was only 9-0. I thought it was maybe about uh 11, 12-0 by now because it feels like he's been around longer than he has. But 9-0 in MMA, 2-0 in the UFC. Both of those UFC wins come over the distance by decision. Um, when he was defining the regional scene, he showed his knockout power. Although, if what we've seen so far is at the UFC level is suggested, it hasn't quite translated as he's moved up in competition. Um, Up against Charles Johnson, bit of a UFC veteran now, is 6-5. Uh, Also had a good run in LFA as well, 6-1 there. 17-7 is overall MMA record. Uh, Been very impressively. He has never been stopped. All 7 losses have come over the course of the distance, um, which is pretty much how I'm expecting this one to go as well, if I'm being honest. As Leona Kavanagh is the young prospect the UFC want to try and hype up. Uh, I don't think he's Chinese himself, or I think he's half Chinese. Looked into it a while back, and I think his mother is Chinese, so that's why he represents China. Uh, of course, not my place to say who identifies as what. That's In any case, I suppose he's got the home advantage in that sense, being in Shanghai, which is the UFC probably only go to China what maybe is it once a year or so. So it's most of the time he doesn't really have that kind of advantage. So I'd be lying if I said I don't think that's going to be a factor. That's not going to be an extra motivation for him as well. Uh, and up against Charles Johnson, who, to be honest, it seems fairly comfortable with. If he loses this, it's not really going to affect him at all. If I'm being honest, in terms of his UFC career, I think he's comfortable enough that he's not exactly fighting for his job. Um, No, obviously he's still going to try and win, of course, but he's a professional fighter after all. But what I'm saying is it's maybe with the Kavanaugh, it's going to be just that little bit more desperate for the win or than Johnson. But Kavanaugh's win by decision is my pick for that one. Um, Not impossible. that Geneva 65 gets through. Johnson does have some good wins, uh, particularly Joshua Van's the impressive one that stands out, given what he's gone on to do since, given the run that he's put together at flyweight. But I just don't know if he wins this one though. Leona Kavanagh just seems a little bit too. It is again not really a setup per se because it is a close fight, but it's you can tell what the UFC are trying to do here. Very clever matchmaking from their point of view. Right, so it's your boy SB. See who the wheels got in store for him, and he gets Weston Wilson. Weston Wilson there for it's your boy SB, and not one I'm overly confident on, to be honest. I've got Yisa to win by first round sub, and I think I haven't checked the odds for all the fighters on the card, but it's plus 700. He's got to be the biggest underdog on this card, hasn't he? Let's be real. Um, and again, when you look at his opponent, Yisa is minus 1,200 the other way. It's I say not a good start to his UFC career, but this is again, as I was just talking about the UFC matchmaking, you can tell they want him to be successful in the promotion. And setting him up against Weston Wilson, that's definitely a signal of their intent. Um, Weston Wilson seems a little bit more well-rounded, but not quite at the same skill level as he is. But if I'll be lying if I said I can try and make a convincing argument as to how Weston Wilson wins this, because frankly I can't. Um, yes, there's more experienced as well, or more fights under his belt. So yeah, it's going to be a tough night for Weston Wilson, and unfortunately, a tough night for it's your boy SB who might be looking at a first round elimination. Unfortunately, okay, Jack Soto next to see what the wheel is going to give him. Austin Hubbard, Austin Hubbard there for Jack Soto, and up against Rongju. Uh, a fairly close fight, but all things considered. But Austin Hubbard just hasn't been in the best of form as of late. Currently on a two-fight loss streak, 4-7 in the UFC. So he's got more UFC fights under his belt compared to Rongju, who's got those 2-3 in the UFC. But they're not been with a 4-7 record. There's not exactly been the most successful UFC stint, all things considered. Mostly decision wins, but then again, he's also has plenty of decision losses as well. But either way, he's good at dragging a fight out over the distance anyway. So it's not as if he's going to get blasted. He's in danger of being blasted away early or anything like that. He should make it a good competitive fight. So he's not going to be completely out of his depth or in any real danger. But I think Rongshu's just going to be a little bit too much, and especially if it does go the distance, home advantage. You can't convince me that doesn't have an effect on the judges there live in the arena, uh, especially when they've got a whole country behind them rooting for them. Probably the best thing going in Austin Hubbard's favour though is picks up a whole bunch of different belts in the regional scene. Um, the most notable one, of course, being the LFA weight champion is also got belts with HFC, Caged Aggression, SCL, and as well. So yeah, he's got a few little belts in his collection to show off to any partners that he brings back to his room. But all in all, I just can't see him getting the win tomorrow night. Or well, I say tomorrow night. It's actually going to be in the middle of my day. I'm not going to be able to watch this because The card starts at about 8 in the morning tomorrow over here, and I'm going to be rocking up to work at about 8 in the morning. And Saturdays are usually the busy shift as well, so it's not like I'm going to get the time to watch this one live, but should be off in the evening. I'll spend the evening catching up with the action then. But yeah, not a convenient time. And I think it was Geneva that said it starts at about 3 a.m. where over here. So I'm assuming that's the case for quite a few Americans. Um, Maybe for someone like Damien Handel 420 over or down under, it's probably quite a nice start time, nice and early in the evening perhaps. But for anyone that can watch this card, hope you look forward to it, or at least watch it live. Anyway, I'll be watching be catching up with it afterwards, of course. But anyone watching it live, hope you enjoy it. Uh, and of course, it only starts in about 6 hours, 6, 7 hours now. Anyway, I think Jack Sotto's going to need a little bit of luck to get through the first round there. Completely went off at a tangent then talking about time zones and all that shit. But Jack Soto, like quite a lot of people, I think it was been quite nasty in this first round. Um, but yeah, Jack Sotto's going to need a bit of luck. Uh, I'm obviously hoping for a bit of luck as it's our alliance up next. KK Terry, me and KK Kombu. First ever time attempting an alliance for either of us. Let's see how this goes. Let's see if our combined luck is going to be enough to get us a favourable fighter. Um, let's see. What does the wheel think of its creator forming an alliance? Oh, that's an interesting one. Sergei Pavlovich. Sergei Pavlovich. That's interesting as to say that because I've not picked him myself, but he is the bookie's favourite. Um, of course, it also puts us in the middle of a very nice, interesting what is it, 3v1 now? C. Collins 44 and Cheeseball also have Sergei Pavlovich, does KK Terry now. Um, Obviously up against El Guapo with Waldo Cortez Acosta, so it's the 3v1 there. Um, as I said, I was expecting Waldo Cortez Acosta uh, to win over the course of the distance and survive that first round and just weather the early storm, survive the first round, drag it out over the distance, and try and get the win on the scorecards. Of course, not being biased at all, but now that our KK Terry Alliance uh, has been drawn with Sergei Pavlovich, I'm hoping he doesn't survive that first round. I'm hoping that Pavlovich does just blast him away straight away, but that's what my heart's saying anyway. But my brain is still telling me that Aldo Cortez Acosta takes this one, even though being a slight underdog. But I certainly hope I'm wrong about that now. So yeah, all in all, could be better, could be worse, but very interesting anyway. Knife Rusty is next to discover his fate. Let's see what the wheels got for Knife Rusty. Oh, the wheel likes to spit out two in a row, doesn't it? So yeah, that's now 4v1. Um, Knife Rusty, KK Terry, uh, C. Collins, 44, and Cheeseball, with always Sergei Pavlovich, all ganging up on El Guapo with Waldo Cortez Acosta. And again, not a lot I can add to this now. I've gone over this several times now. This is the fifth time, and either a first round knockout for Sergei Pavlovich or a decision win for Cortez Acosta. Um, if I'm right and Cortez Acosta does get the win, then that's set to take down four people straight away, or five people in total, and four participants in the game anyway. So that's shaping up to be our Lucky Bastard Game main event with five people involved on that. So anyway, let's see. Is Cushy Cake also going to be added to that pile? Let's see who the wheel picks out for Cushy Cake. And Cushy Cake also gets Yizza. Yizza there for Cushy Cake. So obviously Boom Shakalaka as well got Yizza, and also puts them up against It's Your Boy SB, who have his opponent Weston Wilson. And that Yizza is the best option you can have in this game at the moment, I think, because mine's 1,200 favourite, heaviest favourite on the card in what is, quite frankly, a blatant setup by the UFC. Um, to have obviously a Chinese fighter with a very impressive performance in front of his own fans. So yeah, not a lot I can add to that. Other than that, it does seem like they're setting Yizzer up for a very early submission win. That's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm predicting. Uh, obviously that's what Cushy Cake is going to be hoping for as well. So first round submission for Yizzer is my prediction, and Cushy Cake getting through pretty much guaranteed, as is Boom Shakalaka, of course. Right, Mule Floyd next to see what the wheels got in store for him. And he gets Mikel Pereira. Mikel Pereira for Mule Floyd. First one to get drawn with Mikel Pereira, but had Carl Dorcas come up before him, but is Baron Van Rattus with Carl Dorcas. Um, did anyone else have him? I can't remember. Uh, no, just him. So it starts to get confusing here when you get all the double ups, and but in any case, we've got that head to head, and it's a head to head that I think Mule Floyd is on the right side of. Uh, Pereira's just been fighting better opponents, better quality of opponents lately, and even though his recent form is obviously coming off a decision loss against Abus Magomedov and in his last fight, but yeah, you can't really fault that because Abus Magomedov's been there or thereabouts higher up in the middleweight division for a little while now, so he's not too bad a loss, especially over the distance. And with Pereira, he can get a win from anything. He can knock. He's pretty much equally likely to knock you out or submit you, or even go the distance if you still got the energy left to drag you all the way to the final horn. Um, and like I say, up against the returning Kyle Dorcas, again, it's just it does look like I suppose we are probably banking on Pereira to do all that spectacular flipping shit. Uh, put on a real show of it. And so he's certainly faced better competition than Carl Dorcas as of late, anyway. So if he's doing all that against other opponents, there's no reason he can't be doing it against Carl Dorcas. So maybe UFC sort of like, oh yeah, go on, we'll give you a slightly softer touch here, and you can fuck about a bit, just do some flips, entertain the crowd, and then knock him out or submit him. But anyway, second round knockout's my prediction for that one. Also predict Mil Floyd going through. Piggy Bank is next. See what the wheels got in store for Piggy Bank. Okay, a fight we haven't had yet. Uran Satil Baldiev. Probably butchered that one. So apologies for that. But how are we spelling that? Saty Bald Baldiev. There we go. Right, so that's the opening fight on the card up against Dia Nurgazanghe, who I've probably also butchered that pronunciation as well. Two fighters, almost identical, really, it would seem. In terms of their records, where they are in their careers. Both have lost their UFC debuts. Uh, both got similar records with Dia Nurgazay 10-1, whereas and Satib Baldiev's 9-1. Obviously, both of the losses there being their UFC debuts, as I just mentioned. Uh, they're both knockout artists. They both prefer to keep it standing and try and look for the finish on the feet. And with Nurmagomedov, he's fought 4 times four and was also the champion of Eagle FC. And Uran Satubaldev was the former LFA champion. So yeah, you couldn't ask for a more identical. One's really similar record, only one fight between them. Both lost their UFC's debut, both former regional champions, both knockout artists. It's going to be a very, very close fight. This really can go either way because it's just like throwing two diamonds at each other, isn't it? So what's going to happen? Are they going to shatter, or are they both just going to stay solid and cancel each other out? But simply because of the sheer power involved, it's two knockout artists. I can't see that one going the distance. And I've gone with Uran Satibaldev by second round knockout, purely on the basis that, in my opinion, being the LFA champion is a better achievement than being the Eagle FC champion. I think they've got better quality of fighters in LFA than they do in Eagle FC. Um, so I think to be the champion there has a little bit more weight to it than Diaz or Diaz's resume. But a very close fight, and quite frankly, anything can happen in that one. So Piggy Bank has effectively been given a sort of a coin flip fight, really, in my opinion. Okay, so we move now on to Problem, who is making his Tapology Lucky Bastard, I say making his UFC debut. I mean, unless he is a UFC fighter in disguise, making his UFC debut on this card as well. But he's making his Tapology Lucky Bastard game debut. So best of luck to you, and welcome to the game. Let's see who your first ever fighter is going to be. And his first ever fighter is Gage Young. Gage Young for a problem. Um, Gone over it a few times up against Mahashati. I've gone with Mahashati there for a second round knockout win. Uh, it's I say it's again Gage Young. He lost his UFC debut against Stephen Elder and a few months back. Decent regional record, but when somebody has a good comes in knocking everybody out on the regional scene, and then they make their UFC debut and then lose that. It doesn't look good because to me that just says basically, well, okay, you can knock out the taxi drivers and whatever, yeah, but it's cabbies and fish shop owners and all that. But but when you step up and maybe I'm judging a bit too harshly, but it doesn't seem like it's really translated to UFC level so far. Um, but Mahashati, on the other hand, he's 2-3 in the UFC, so he's got a. It's not the best record, but at least he's got a taste of what this level's like. Um, so yeah, it's I say he's also got that win over Steve Garcia, as I mentioned earlier, as well. So it's like I say he's kind of proven himself a bit more at the UFC level, is what I'm trying to say, than Gage Young has. So for that, I'm going Mahasheti there, and I think Problem, unfortunately, it might be out in your very first round, your very first game. So, but I don't think you're going to be the only one leaving in this round because the UFC's been the wheel's been really brutal in this first round draws, getting quite a lot of underdogs out. Anyway, so move on to Rigno. Let's see who's Rigno going to be rooting for tomorrow night. Rigno gets Long Zhao. Long Zhao for Rigno there. Another fighter who's come up quite a few times already. See if see who's have a quick scroll back, see who Long Zhao's come up. I feel like he's come up two or three times now. Yeah, Calfoth had him, Chip Smack had him. Um, yeah, so it's I say this is where it always starts to get confusing. I say Gage Young, as I mentioned last time, also it's a few people. Yeah, Damien Handel had him, and did a laugh my arse off on AZ, but it does get confusing trying to pair them all up. But sort of work out in the moment who's been drawn with who's got a better chance of getting through compared to whatnot. And it's I'll try and do it where possible, but it does get quite confusing. But anyway, back to where we are anyway with Rigno and Long Zhao. Uh, Gone with Su Young Yu again. This very close fight, which against me, which puts you up against Doctor Max's two as well. Um, but yeah, so it's for me, it's mostly on the basis of the tournament's performance in the road to UFC. That's what we saw Su Young Yu in that is just looks slightly more well-rounded, slightly better fighter than Long Zhao, despite excuse me, despite the experience gap between the two fighters. Um, it's close though, so it's not a certainty that you're out uh or that Dr. Maxis is through, for instance. It's just a close fight, and I favour Su Yong Yu for that one. So I think Rigno, in my opinion, is going to be out soon after this first round. That's my prediction. Okay, so we move on to Shat next. Let's see if the wheel's going to be uh, kind to Shat for and he gets Mahashate, who I suppose is appropriate, a very similar name, Mahashate. Maha Mahi Shate. I've no idea if Shat and Mahashate are meant to be pronounced similar, but it's and I apologise to Mahashate, of course, because I've absolutely butchered your name several different times, several different ways in this video so far. Um, so yeah, I apologise to him and everyone, and on behalf of China as a whole as well. That also puts Shat up against everybody who had Gage Young in terms of head to heads, but he's the first one to be drawn with Mahashati anyway. So making it head to head rather than a few people lumping on Gage Young. Um, Mostly knockout and decision wins. He's had his fair share of decision losses, as mentioned. So it's not he won't want to rely on the judges giving him nods, even though being a home fighter probably can a little bit more than usual. Let's be honest. If he goes the distance, I can see a few favourable decisions happening. And that always happens. It's not a China specific thing. It happens in any country where they've got a lot of the home fighters. You see it a lot of the time with the British ones as well, where if they're having a card in Manchester or London or where a lot of the British fighters get fights where the judges say they won, and I've thought to myself, did you really though? But that's just the hazards of the UFC having fights all over the world, though. And to be fair, it's better to do it that way. Have fights all over the world. More fans don't normally get a chance to see them will come out and support their favourites. But anyway, as for getting golf on a bit of tangent there, but I don't think it will go the distance anyway. If we've got Mahesh Essi to win by a second round knockout um, against Gage Young, so I think it'd be the UFC pretty much looking for, well, more for their Chinese fighters to get finishes. I feel like this is going to be one of those cards with a lot of finishes on it. So anyway, Shat should got a better chance than some of the others to get through to the second round. Right. All right. So what we got next? CN6. This is next to see what the wheel has got in store for him. Uren Satibaldov. Uren Satibaldov there for CN6. So that's obviously pairs him up with Piggy Bank, whether he likes it or not, for the opening fight of the card. And I say not much to split them at all. Literally, the only thing I'm splitting them on is the fact that Uran is the former LFA champ, whereas don't get me wrong. I mean, with Dia Nurgo Sahay being the former Eagle FC champ, that is very impressive in its own right. Uh, I just think the LFA is slightly more prestigious one to hold. But besides that, besides just the slight difference in quality of composition, um, that's pretty much the only thing to split them because otherwise they're pretty much carbon copies of each other, really, in terms of how their careers have panned out so far. Um, as mentioned earlier, both lost their UFC debuts, both got similar records, both knockout artists that look to finish fights. So it's a very explosive start to the card, that's for sure. Um, can't see it going the distance in any case. But all in all, fairly good pick there for CN6. Right, the Dirty UFC man. Uh, next to see who the wheel's going to force him to root for. Let's see who's going to be posing up to a Dirty UFC man. Nope, and Mahasheti again for the Dirty UFC man. Uh, who I've mentioned second round knockout several times now. It's again looks like they're kind of setting Gage Young up a little bit here. Um, lost his UFC debut, of course, Gage. And whereas Mahasheti's already he's not got the best UFC record, but he's got 5 fights in the UFC under his belt, two of them being wins, of course. So a bit more experience, a bit more broken in at the UFC level. And yeah, I think that experience is going to be that's going to be key to determining the outcome of this fight. And to be honest, I think so far in his career, he's definitely had harder fights than Gage Young in his career so far, in his UFC stint so far, anyway. But so yeah, I think the Dirty UFC man will be quite happy with that one, as will Shat. And if anybody else, I can't remember off the top of my head if they had Mahasheti as well. Okay, we've got the matchmaker next to see how this turns out for him. Let's see what. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Brian Ortega for the matchmaker in a match that shouldn't be happening, in my opinion. He just looks awful on on the scales and in that way, and it's just yeah, it's hard to get those images out of your head, and you never like to see it. But it, maybe I'm going to be completely wrong. Maybe this whole debacle has helped Ortega in some way. Maybe he's been able to rehydrate very well, and he's back feeling 100%. In which case, if that is the case, then he would definitely have an advantage over Aljamain Sterling. But I just can't see how you put your body through all of that and still be 100% fighting fit just a day or two later. It just doesn't happen for me. Doesn't make sense. So because of that, it's got Aljamain Sterling to win by fourth round submission. That's normally the strong point of Ortega. That's normally if he's going to win fights, he'll tend to win them on the ground. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Fucking hell. Excuse me there. Just a little sneezing fit there. Yeah. Right, anyway. Yeah, as I was saying, Ortega normally wins fights on the ground or tries to anyway. But Aljamain Sterling's not bad on the ground himself. That's usually where he likes to try to take the fights as well. So definitely going to be Brian's maybe not quite equal, but definitely close to it. But with the weight cuts as well, I think I'd expect Sterling to dominate the grappling, and it's going to be a matter of time until he wins, in my opinion, or until he finishes them off. Because there's just no way I can see Ortega lasting 5 rounds, especially if it's a 5 rounds of uh, heavy grappling. It's not going to be he's not going to last that long. I don't think. He won't have the stamina to it after that weight cut. Anyway, so yeah, I think the matchmaker's going to need a fair bit of luck for that one. Okay, the MMA historian is waiting to see if he's going to be MMA future or MMA history. And again, it gets tossed into the Lucky Bastard Game main event with on the side of Waldo Cortez Acosta. So that's quite a few people there, all bundled up. Let's see who else has got Acosta. So for Acosta, we obviously got the MMA historian now. Uh, We've got El Guapo as well. So there's El Guapo and the MMA historian, and they're up against obviously Knife Rusty, KK Terry, our new alliance there. Um, Cheeseball and C Collins 44. So at the moment it looks like, unless I've missed anyone, it looks like we've got a 4v2 there. Two for Sergey Pavlovich, two for Waldo Cortez Acosta, and one which again I'm disagreeing with the bookies on. The bookies are saying that Pavlovich wins it, and I say Waldo Cortez Acosta takes it. Um, in any case, I can only really see two outcomes really. One where either Sergey Pavlovich finishes it in the first, or one where Waldo Cortez Acosta um, survives the first round and wins over the distance. Only one other interesting thing, big off on a bit of tangent, because why not? Um, when I was looking over Acosta's record earlier, I noticed he was actually had a box rec page. I didn't realize he was actually outside of MMA. He also had a professional boxing career. If I'm remembering right, I think his box rec page showed him as having a 6-4 record. Um, so yeah, bit of interesting extracurricular activity for him there. But a little bit of trivia for anyone else that didn't realise that. Anyway, the MMA historian is on the right side of the Lucky Bastard game history, in my opinion, for this round. Anyway, okay, so we have Tosh. I can't remember if it is your debut or not. If I'm being completely honest, I feel like you probably have competed before, but in any case, welcome back. Good luck to you. So we'll see how you get on. Let's see what the wheels got in store for you tonight. And I think it's the first time the main event's actually come up in this one. Uh, Johnny, uh, Johnny Walker there for Tosh, and that's the yeah, I think that's the first because no one else has had Ming Yang Zhang. So first time I get to talk about this one since the opening. And as I mentioned in my introduction, I'm expecting Ming Yang Zhang to win that by knockout because Johnny Walker, he's had his chin cracked several times now. It's actually got 6 times in his career now, where he's been knocked out. Um, and once your chin's gone, it's kind of gone really. So it's there's no you can't really get it back per se. And when you're fighting someone who's come into the UFC and got three first round knockouts in the UFC, that is just it is it's obvious what the UFC wants to happen in the main event. It's it's obvious they want Ming Yang Zhang to pull out a spectacular knockout against a fairly big name fighter as well. Um, of course, he had a big name in Anthony Smith last time as well, of course. But once you if you knock out Anthony Smith, and if you knocks out Johnny Walker as well, that would really get into the argument for a potential title fight. Once you get through the higher echelons, obviously, once you get through the likes of Alex Pereira and Kalaev, and oh, what's the other guy? Olberg, Carlos Olberg as well. Um, then you can potentially start making arguments for a title shot for him, and the UFC would love that. Chinese knockout artist as a champion in a division that's been very topsy-turvy, with all sorts of different champions and no contests and draws, and it's been mayhem up there at title picture at light heavyweight. It's but yeah, no. Back to the game anyway. Tosh, I'm afraid you're going to be it's going to be a very uphill battle for you to stay in this one. I think you might be leaving us after the first round. I'm afraid. Right, so we move on to Trail Allman. Trail Allman is going to see what awaits him. Is close, but he gets Leona Kavanagh. Leona Kavanagh for Trail Allman there. Um, First time he's come up as a fighter. Anyway, his fight's been brought up a few times, but because actually, I think it's only one person that had Charles Johnson. Geneva 65 had Charles Johnson. So that's a head-to-head there between Trail Allman and Geneva 65. Leona Kavanagh, I've got him to win by decision. And Charles Johnson's, I'm expecting him to make a very tough fight of it. Um, and because he's proven to be a very good gatekeeper at flyweight. But Leona Kavanagh's undefeated in his sort of home ground, in his home country, I suppose. Is I can see him staying undefeated, making that 10-0. It's obviously Charles Johnson's more experienced, both in terms of MMA career and his UFC career as well. But there's no reason why Kavanagh wouldn't win it because he has looked very good. To be fair to him, he's since coming into the UFC, he's I know I criticised him earlier that he coming up from the regionals, he was knocking everybody out, and then comes to the UFC, and then he goes the distance and doesn't quite look at as ferocious as he did at the regional level. But to be fair to him, he's still been getting the wins, and in MMA, that is the only thing that matters. Um, and I can see him doing that, making it 3-0 in his UFC career, 10-0 in MMA. So I see that one playing out. But Charles Johnson's going to be with him for every single second of that fight, and there's no way he finishes Johnson because nobody else has. Which so that's a very impressive statistic in his own right. And of course, Johnson boasts wins over the likes of Joshua Van, Sumo Deji, Azat Maxim. Uh, so yeah, he can pull off a few upsets as well. And as for his losses, aka the ones who couldn't knock him out, you got the likes of Ramazan Temirov, you got Rafael Estevan, Cody Durden, Ode Osborne, Mohammed Makayev. Uh, it's so they're the ones that couldn't finish him. So he's certainly got some staying power. But Kavanagh, I don't think he'll need to finish him. Just win over the distance, basically. That's how I see that one playing out. And I can see Trial Orman getting through to the second round as a result of that. Okay, so next to face up the wheel and learn his fate is Trig. Let's see if the wheel's going to be kind to Trig or not. And another one thrown onto that absolute heap of the Lucky Bastard Game main event with another one, Team Sergei Pavlovich, with Trig for Sergei Pavlovich. Um, yeah, only so many times I can say it. Pavlovich either wins in the first round, or I think Cortez Acosta wins over the course of the distance. The bookies say Pavlovich, I say Acosta. Um, so yeah, it's probably I say I probably have to make a little collage to work out that fight, won't you? After all the work out who it is, but I think that now makes it 5 versus 2. I think off the top of my head, not 100% sure, but we'll work it out later. But there's a whole bunch of people interested in our in that heavyweight contest. Right, three more to go. First of them up is Trosdradamus, the Tros and Kostradamus alliance. So let's see how this plays out. Let's see. Would the power of the alliance? But you are absolutely joking me. Seriously? Show some originality, Will. What is this? It also gets Sergey Pavlovich. There we go. So yep, Sergey Pavlovich again. For Trosdradamus. So yeah, that's what I think. That's like 6v2 or something now. Right, not really anything else I can add to that. So we'll move on to I can't believe that. Oh well. If Sergey Pavlovich does lose, then it's going to have repercussions big time on this game, I tell you. But the Trosdradamus Alliance, anyway, their team Sergey Pavlovich in the Lucky Bastard Game main event. Right, so on to our last of the alliances, second to last entrance is Uber Industry, the German alliance. Uber Match and Square Industry made it all the way to the final eighth rounds against Foghorn Sam, but just got knocked out at the final hurdle. Maybe they can go one better this time, but in any case, that was a brilliant run in the last game. So, Uber Industry, let's see how this new game starts for you. Oh, and I think it's a good start. You got Aljamain Sterling. Uh, yeah, I know what you're thinking. I heard all those groans from behind the computer screen, like, "Oh yeah, here comes another Steve Terry weight cut ramble." And sure enough, another Steve Terry weight cut ramble it is. Because after that weight cut horror show from Brian Ortega, I just don't see how this is really going to be as competitive a fight. I couldn't split them when I first had them when I first saw the fight, but now it's I can't see any way Ortega wins. I'll be majorly surprised if he does. And the only way he does is, quite frankly, if he has been able to rehydrate. But I don't see. I don't quite understand all the science about it. Like, it's not just about your energy levels and how you feel. It's about your organs and all that as well, because they need water. And when you're cutting weight, you're cutting water, and you're taking that water away from your organs, especially your brain. It's always useful to have functioning, especially in combat sports, where you've got to react quickly, but you don't want to be starving your brain of water. You don't want to be starving any of the other organs of water. It's just gonna. I'd have thought it'd have made him feel just extremely weak as well. It's just like I can't imagine what that feeling must be like. It's I've been dehydrated before, of course, but never to that kind of extent. So and when I have been dehydrated, there's no way I could have fought anyone. Uh, not that I can fight for shit anyway, but it's especially not in a state of dehydration. Most of my dehydrations tend to come after I get completely shit faced and I forget to rehydrate the before going to bed. Uh, that always fucks you up. Anyway, Aljamain Sterling now off that one, given the weight cut situation, I'm fully expecting him to get the win here. Fourth round sub for do the trick, and I think that this is going to be the start of another legendary run for Uber Industry. Right. Finally, but by no means least, we have ex-con Chris waiting to discover his fate. Let's see who ex-con Chris has got lined up, and he gets the biggest favourite on the card, Yizha. So that's yeah, as I've mentioned before, first round sub. Not the best start to his UFC career, but against Weston Wilson, who I just can't see Weston Wilson causing too many problems for him. Um, Especially given that in his career, Weston Wilson's had four submission losses in his career, nine losses and four of them by submission. Against someone like Yiso who uh, prefers to look for the subs, and yeah, can't really dress it up too much. Other than that, well done, next one, Chris. You are almost certainly getting a place in the second round. It'll be a major, major surprise if you don't. Okay, so that concludes the first round draw for the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. Uh Honestly, I feel like quite a few. I think it's going to be quite a bad first round. I think we usually have a sort of a 50-50 elimination rate, but I think we could probably see more than half of you going out in this one. But I mean, obviously Sergey Pavlovich is going to be determining half of the card himself. But anyway, just to run over them one more time, just to sort of reiterate, we have A with Gage Young, Baron Van Ratus with Kyle Dorcas, Bellatrix with Lake Nuraji, Boom Shakalaka with Yiza, Cal Foth with Long Zhao, Kenhager Ruiz with Kiefer Crosby, C. Collins 44 with Sergey Pavlovich, as is Cheeseball, Chip Smack making his debut with Long Zhao, Cool Hand Puke with Brian Ortega, as is D1 D4 K10, Damien Handel 420 with Gage Young, Dr. Max is 2, Su Young Yu, uh, El Guapo with Waldo Cortez Acosta, the reigning defending Lucky Bastard Game champion, Foghorn Sam starts his defense with Aljamain Sterling. Geneva 65 gets Charles Johnson. It's your boy SB with Weston Wilson. Jack Soto with Austin Hubbard. KK Terry, I suppose the debut for the Alliance, with me and KK Combo, of course, with Sergey Pavlovich. Knife Rusty, also with Sergey Pavlovich. Cushy Cake with Yiza. Mule Floyd with Mikael Pereira. Piggy Bank with Uran Satibaldev. Problem with Gage Young. Rigno with Long Zhao. Shat with Mahashati. Cian 6 with Uran Satibaldiev. The Dirty UFC Man with Mahashati. The Matchmaker with Brian Ortega. The MMA Historian with Waldo Cortez Acosta. Tosh with Johnny Walker. Triad Allman with Leona Kavanagh. Trig with Sergey Pavlovich, as is Trostradamus. Uber Industry with Aljamain Sterling. And Ex-Con Chris with Yizha. So, uh, bloody hell. Well, that concludes our first round draw, and I think the wheel has been a bit of a bitch, if I'm being completely honest, in this first round. I think there's quite a few. I feel like I've said more often than not that people are going to need a bit of luck to get through to the second round. Um, anyway, we'll see how it plays out, especially the Pavlovich versus Acosta fight. That will be our unofficial main event as well, with about God knows how many different people in that one. Um, all this leaves me to say is best of luck to all of you. Um, Obviously, best of luck with your picks on Tapology. If you've got any bets on this card as well, good luck with those. And until next time, so long for now.